Alright, today we're going to try to take the flywheel out, and I'm going to try to use my old impact wrench to take it out. And I've got the transmission all covered up with bags. Anyway, we have got to try to get this flywheel out of here. And those bolts are so tight, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. I've got to get it out. So, that's going to be the adventure for today. Alright, I now have the flywheel out. I was able to get a monkey wrench in there, adjustable wrench, and kind of use it to, sorry about that, compressor turned on. I was able to get a adjustable wrench in there where it could actually stop the flywheel from turning. And it did a good job. It just kind of lodged it between a pin and the bottom of the motor, and that way it kept the flywheel from turning on me when I turned it. But my air impact ended up not working. My compressor's not powerful enough, so I had to end up using a big breaker bar, and I was able to get the bolts loose. They were really, really tight. Anyway, flywheel kind of sets up on a lip there, so once I got the bolts out, it just kind of sat there. But I was afraid it was going to be pressed on, but it wasn't. So it just kind of comes off by hand, so you need to beware if you ever take the bolts out of those. Don't be underneath it, because the flywheel will fall off. So anyway, we've got the old flywheel right here, and hopefully it can be surfaced. There's pins sticking up, so I don't know how well it can be surfaced with those pins. The pins will have to come out, and I don't know. I know those are pressed in, so that might be a tough job. These flywheels are about $250, so expensive. But if it can't be surfaced, I'll have to get a new one. So anyway, hopefully it can be surfaced and cleaned up. So there you have it. There's the flywheel. Now I got to get my garage cleaned up and get the transmission in there and start working on it and taking it apart, and that ought to be fun. Because I got to look and see about what linkage that bolt broke in, and hopefully it didn't get down into the gears and all that. So anyway, that's where we're at today. See you in the next video. Okay, today we've actually kind of cleaned our shed up here to get the engine, or not the engine, but the transmission, transaxle, under cover here to work on it. Well, I've got it up on my little makeshift bench, which is actually a toolbox. And anyway, here's the transmission. We've got to get the throwout bearing off here. It's actually ran by this fork, and real easy to come off. It just pops out. I've already had it out, but anyway, I've got to get that off, and I really want to replace this throwout bearing right there while I have it out. But anyway, I've got to split this transaxle apart. Don't have a lot of room to work, but it's better than working outside in the rain when it's supposed to rain all next week. Anyway, I've got to split this thing open because I've got to get to this part of it down in the case. Obviously, you can't get to it from this side, so I've got to split the thing apart, and that's not going to be a lot of fun, really. It's I've got to split it right here, as you can see, all the way around. So it's not going to be fun, because I imagine there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to want to fall out when I do this. So anyway, it's all the way around. I've got to take all these bolts out. So I'm getting ready to have a lot of fun taking this thing apart. So anyway, at least I've got it under roof now, and I can actually work on it. So There we go. Next video we'll probably be starting to take the transmission apart. Alright, I've taken the throwout bearing off because I've actually got the bolts out. Well, I put these bolts back in just so the thing wouldn't fall completely apart. I've got them backed off just a little bit. As you can see, I've got the thing cracked open and it's draining out all the extra oil that was in it. I'm a little leery of getting it the rest of the way open because of things falling out of it. Without me knowing exactly how they're put together, it's kind of tough. If you notice right here, this actually cracked. This bolt was so tight in there that it caused that to crack right there. I don't know what I'll do. Maybe some JB weld or something there. I know that's not the best thing to do, but it'd be better to probably have it welded. But this car is just not worth worth that much. I'll probably JB weld that or something and put it back together and put some Loctite in the bolt or something. I don't know. I don't plan on ever taking it apart again. So anyway, it's starting to come apart, and it is a heck of a job, that's for sure, to do by yourself. But anyway, it's a heck of a lot cheaper if I can get it done. So that's it for now. Here's a broader picture of the transmission. As I'm getting it apart, you can actually see the split there, and it's got some pins that keep it aligned, and I've actually taken a big old rubber mallet and a sharpened piece of metal. Is actually a big old chisel or punch or whatever you want to call it, and I've sharpened it real sharp, and I was able to peck a little bit around it, and it broke it loose. You got to be careful not to booger the mating surfaces up on these. You don't want them leaking. So anyway, it popped loose, and it looks like it's coming apart a lot easier than I thought it would. So I'm happy with that. Okay, we've got some transmission stuff going on here. Today, after reading the manual a little bit, I think I'm going to have to take this back cover off to get the transmission apart, because obviously in a previous video you saw where I had the transmission split open here. Well, it would only go so far, and something's holding it, and I'm not sure what that is, and the instructions say I really need to take this back cover off, and there's gears inside there that I've got to undo and basically take the whole transmission apart. So we're going to take that off. And as you can see, we've got some gearing and stuff that's going to have to come out of there. And hopefully it will. Anyway, looks like it's going to be a lot bigger job than what I thought to begin with. So there you have it. We got to pull those gears with gear pullers and everything else. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Anyway, it just wouldn't come apart. So I don't see any other way of doing it except by the instructions, and it has you taking the whole transmission apart. Hopefully I'll try to do it without taking too many gears apart. I need to look and make sure there's no timing gears and things like that need to be put back in place exactly. A lot of times there's little marks on gears that they go in a certain place, so we'll have to be looking for that. Just want to make note here that we're removing the backup switch off the top of the transmission, just so I know where it goes when I go to put it back. There's holes all over this transmission, so anyway, that's your backup switch. It goes right by the identification plate. So taking that out of there. I've got it taped up to keep dirt out of it, but pretty rusty old switch. So anyway, getting that taken out. Got the cover taken off there. Lots of stuff to take out. Okay, I'm now removing what they call the poppet ball assembly. It's goes into the clutch housing. Anyway, this deal right here, poppet ball assembly is what they call it. That's what it looks like. And we can see down in there. Well, anyway, got that removed. I better label it. Got to go back where it came from. Okay, the next step was to remove this pin, which I'll show you right here. It's just a spring type pin that goes in this shift fork, 5th gear shift fork. You have to, they say a special tool. Well, this was my special tool right here. A drill bit, an old drill bit that was just a little bit smaller than the hole, and it took a little bit of pounding to get started, but once it started going right out. So a drill bit works as long as you have one that's a little bit smaller than the hole. So you don't want it too small, because it'll go right through the center, or it'll mess up your pin real bad, and try to spread it out as you hammer it through there. So anyway, that worked. Okay, I'm wanting to make note about this shifter fork that I've taken off. It goes in this groove right here, as you can see. However, when this gear comes off, this whole outer piece comes off. It's hard to get back on, but there's some spring-loaded gears in there that you have to press in. There's 3 of them, kind of in a triangle, and you have to press that in to get that gear off of there. So it needs to go back on the proper way. So anyway, just wanted to make note of that, because this popped off of here, and it's going to be fun to get back together. So there you have it. Okay, I want to make note again on this. I went ahead and took this gear off, and as you can see right here are some spring-loaded little pieces that have to be pushed in to get this gear back on. If you notice, there's a bevel. That bevel goes down. Okay? Notice the 2 lip sizes. The bevel goes down on this, just in case I forget how to put it back together. And of course the shifter fork goes in here and then onto the shaft. Okay. Okay, looks like, as far as I can tell, these nuts are the same style, same size, everything. I'm going to mark them. This is the 5th gear retaining nut, and that's the 3rd gear retaining nut. It was a job to get these things out of there. They weren't very tight, but the problem is your gears turn really easy, and I ended up using a screwdriver and kind of butting up against. I know it's not the best way to do things, but if they were any tighter than they were, I could have ruined the gears, slipping off. So, but I was actually able to knock the retaining walls back here on these with a punch and screwdrivers. Kind of boogered that one up, but there's enough meat left there that I can pop it back in when I put it back together. These nuts are not very tight, really. They're just kind of there to retain. So I finally got them loose. I had to actually clamp the transmission to my bench and to get them off. But anyway, I'm going to mark these with tape as I take them off, so I put them back where they go. Anyway, I wanted to make note of that and go from there. I'll be pulling these gears off and marking them too. So I want to pay attention to the way they all go together. I don't know how much they come apart, but I'm sure they probably scatter once I start taking them apart. So anyway, to make sure I know which way they go back on here when I reassemble it. Okay, I want to make note of something here. This is the reverse gear shaft bolt right here. Okay, it goes right here in this hole right there, and I have already taken it out, although I took it out beforehand. I probably shouldn't have, but I did. Anyway, that's where it goes, and that's what it is. So it needs to go back there when I reassemble. Okay, I have actually gotten my gears off of here. This is the third gear, where the third gear went. I put this in here just to keep, there's a bearing down in here. I just want to keep it clean. So, because I've got to take a snap ring out right here, as you can see, the snap ring down around the base of that shaft has got to come out, and it's going to be a bear because it's pretty tight in there. So but it's got to come out so that shaft will drop through. Anyway, so that's my next step here in getting this case undone. Alright, I've got the snap ring off finally, but I want to make note that this washer goes on first. Okay? Then the snap ring goes on, holding that shaft in. I just want to make note of that so that I didn't get it backwards or anything like that. So that's the way that goes together. And it looks like there's a bearing in there. So just want to make note, and that way I won't have any problems when I get it put back together. Alright, well, as you can see, I finally got it apart. That's the only way that thing comes apart, just like that. So sometimes it's good to read instructions. So there it is. I need to keep it as clean as possible. Anyway, I want to show you what the whole problem is. This is the shifting apparatus that shifts the gears, okay? Alright, let's see if I can get a hold of it. There's a bolt that goes in here. That's the bolt head that I found. And there it is, sheared off. Right there. So, I'm going to have to find the right size bolt for that and replace it. I'm going to have to take the shaft out, so I'm going to have to be really careful. Oh boy, I don't know, man. That is going to be a mess. So I'm going to have to drill that out. I'm going to have to make note of the way everything goes together. Anyway, I got to drill that bolt out of there and then replace that with another one. So, and that will fix this transmission. Besides all the mess I've made, I got to clean all the gasket stuff off of it and then reseal everything. So, pretty good job ahead of me there. Anyway, there it is. That was a job getting it down to this far. So, there you have it. Okay, I've got the shifting linkage out, and I've put a 3/8 drive extension in through there so it holds it all together. Anyway, there's the the bolt I've got to replace. Got to figure out what size that is. It's hard to see, my camera's not focusing. Anyway, there's a bolt broke off in there. I'll have to drill that out. I want to make note that this piece goes back in here like this, not like that, or it goes in there like this. Okay, so that when I put it back together, I get it together right. Anyway, I've got to get that bolt replaced. It's going to have to be a hardened bolt, I'm sure, but that's too bad that thing broke off. That's crazy. But anyway, it did, so I've got to get it replaced now. I'm going to have to get something to cover this transmission. I'll probably a clean trash bag or something I can put over it to keep it clean. So anyway, moving right along. So fun is fun. Till next time. Okay, I know it's been about 2 weeks since I've worked on this transmission because I was waiting on the bolt that I ordered from the Hyundai dealer. Hyundai, however you pronounce it. And the bolt came in, and we went clear to Muncie to get it. This bolt was only 24 cents. But anyway, they gave me the wrong bolt. It just wasn't, it evidently may have been the right bolt, but it was not the same kind of bolt that came out of it. So with that, I decided instead of trying to find this bolt, I would just drill the hole out, and go with a 1/4 thread bolt. Well, I found a bolt at Advance Auto, actually about 4 of them. It came in a package, and it was just about the right size. It was 1/4. I had to buy a new tap, and ended up I didn't have to drill out the hole. The hole was about the right size, and I just ran that tap down through it and re-threaded it. There was enough meat left in there that I was able to thread it, and then I had to cut the bolt off just a little bit. Actually, I ground it down just a little, just so that it didn't go clear through the shaft. So anyway, as you see right here, there's the bolt. Now, this bolt I also used red Loctite. I don't want this bolt coming out. If it breaks again, I may push the car to the junkyard because yeah, you can't have this thing worked on. It costs too much. The car is not worth it. There's a lot of other problems with the car that it wouldn't even be worth redoing this thing again. So anyway, I've got the bolt in there and the shifter assembly back together here. See, that whole thing runs all these forks. That one bolt broke, making the car where it would not shift. So anyway, I am now waiting on that to dry before I do anything else. I want that bolt to cure and make sure that it stays in there and won't back out. So hopefully that Loctite will do the trick. It seemed to tighten up real well, didn't strip out or anything. Now I've got to clean off all of the surface here. As you can see, that blue stuff, I've got to clean all that off and reseal when I put the other half back on the case cover. Anyway, the case cover is inside because I had to do a little bit of JB welding on it. As in a previous video you saw, I had cracked a hole. It was like cracked on both sides of a lobe like this, kind of cracked down it, and it didn't completely fall off, but it was cracked pretty good. So anyway, I cleaned it all up, took the other half inside the house where it was warm because it's gotten cold again, and I JB welded. It's like a extreme epoxy for automotive. Anyway, I did that, and I'm going to have to file it down a little bit on the surface to get it where it'll seal. But it's got a cure, and it's as strong as steel. So there's not really, it should hold it fine and keep a good seal once it dries and sets up. So anyway, that's where we're at on this transmission project so far. Looks like it's going okay now. You know, it's too bad I had to wait 2 weeks to find out I got the wrong bolts. At least they didn't charge me for them. They were only 24 cents a piece, but they didn't actually charge me. So, there you have it. Alright, for the most part, I've got the surface of the case cleaned off. Now I've got to clean the other side, or the other half. But when I was trying to take this thing off, I did a lot of pounding and stuff. You got to be careful with aluminum because you just gouge it out. But anyway, I took a file, a very fine, long file, and set it flat on the surface and carefully filed on any places like this right here that may have been protruding up. So I got those filed down, cleaned up, got the surface cleaned up. I used the green scratchy pad, like a kitchen cleaning pad, to do it, and I got all that stuff off of there and cleaned. I tried to keep as much out of the transmission as I could and wiped it out, so it did pretty good. So I'm getting close to putting the other half back together, or putting the cover back on. So ought to be fun. So until next time.